I started becoming that light. I could see, just like how you would see the sun rise over the ocean, this brilliant white light and the dancing light of the sun dancing on the waves of the waters. I saw it, but it was 10,000 times more beautiful. It was 10,000 times, 10 million times more alive and perfect and brilliant and self-luminous, okay? And the light was dancing as the waters. I don't know how else to explain that. It wasn't on the water, it was the water. And I knew the entire manifest worlds, all the planes exist as this ocean. And my consciousness was lifting out of that and was just in this state of being this light that has lifted above the causal waters, above all manifestation. And I was suddenly in the awareness that there is no other. So it wasn't thinking, oh, we are all one. There was no we. I think you know what I'm talking. There's no we. There's no one or two. It was a full body, complete, ecstatic experience of being whole. There is no other. I am. But the words I am weren't even there. It was just completeness and an absolute perfect existence. Before I go any further, Laurie, while it's still in my head, my main message as we continue to talk is that you don't have to go outside of yourself to experience God. You don't have to die and leave your body. God is here in every cell of your body. And that's what that sun rising in my body was.
My guest today is Caprina Brown, who had an incredible spiritually transformative experience while she was having a past life regression. And during this, she actually had a spontaneous healing, and she has since become an energy healer. And I had the serendipitous, I'll say it that way with air quotes, opportunity to sit next to her this summer at the IANDS conference. And we had a beautiful conversation. And I thought that she had a lot to offer for the people who are listening. So Caprina, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Laurie. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you.
Thank you. It's so great to see you again. We had a beautiful connection. And I would love for you to share with the audience what happened to you with your guides.
Oh, when I met you? So I'm a very shy person. And I've had beautiful, spiritually transformative awakening experiences that I use that as a healer to help others, but I don't talk about it. And I felt that impulse to start to share that those are gifts, not just for me, but for others, to start talking about it. It's not talking from my ego or from specialness. It's something that's very natural to everybody. It's talking from guidance. And so because I'm shy, I'm sitting at the conference going, and I talk to the voice inside of me and I say, you want me to talk on a podcast, you got to bring the people to me. I don't even know how to go up to somebody and talk about it. Like, do they look for you? I don't know how it works. So you got to guide me. So I literally said, I surrender all of these kind of guidance directives to you. I know you're here. Show me who and how. And literally you like, boop, boop, boop. You're like, is anybody sitting there? And you plop down next to me. And I don't remember how, but I heard you like you were on the phone or you were texting or you were talking to somebody next to you, but you somehow I hear you saying, yeah, I have a podcast. Like I heard that come out of your mouth. And I'm like, hi. So I'm like, that was fast. That was within like 2 minutes.
And that's crazy.
And there you were.
Isn't that how it works?
I love it. Well, that's the truth, that the divine is everywhere. And we're the ones that tie its hands with our limiting beliefs about who we are and who what the divine can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Well, why don't you tell everybody about this spiritually transformative experience that you had so they can understand how this worked for you and what it did?
okay. So I was honest. I was in my, let's see, this was 24 years ago, maybe 24 years ago. I was on a very obsessive spiritual awakening practice path. I had met someone that I recognized from as my teacher from many lifetimes. And I knew I was supposed to get mantra initiations from him. So we were studying the Vedas, the Upanishads, and mystical um, mantras and prayers for awakening. And I would just do them all the time and study and read and meditate. And I was just having this incredible longing to experience what all the books say, to experience yourself as God, kind of like wanting to go to the ocean instead of just looking at a picture of the ocean. You know what I'm talking about? So, though I had had kind of my own kind of mystical psychic experiences since I was a kid, it wasn't the full experience that the sages and saints around the world from all traditions that have. So I thought I was really on the path. And then I got diagnosed with an incurable disease that runs in my family. Um, and I was completely uh, mortified. Like I was 30 or in my early 30s, and I felt betrayed by God. When you think you're on the right path and then the worst thing happened. You're like, "What?" Like I had a belief somehow that that shouldn't be happening. Um, so because Western medicine didn't have anything to offer me at the time I went to Western medicine. I don't have anything against Western medicine, but because Western medicine had nothing really to offer me except for prepare for a life of disability, that will come and we can slow it down and you're going to have lots of side effects with the medication. I'm like, I'll try that. I tried it for a year. But I realized I have nothing to lose now. I am on a spiritual path. I know deep inside of me that the healer is within me and that's the divine and I'm going to find it. It's like I'm going to just go for it. I don't know how or when, but I'm going to just go for it. And see where, that was my intention in my prayer. Like, let me explore what is it in my own consciousness? Like, the root cause of this is not physical. The root cause has something in consciousness that's in deep forgetting of my own divinity. Let me find that. And so I just kind of went on this journey of exploring energy medicine, different types of hypnosis, regression, life between life regression, past life regression, um, just exploring different states of consciousness, and going to healers and healers from India and healers from the West. And I had beautiful experiences, but I nothing told me that I was like healed. So one weekend, I was registered for a hypnosis training that was supposed to be, it's called Life Between Life. It's Michael Newton's Life Between Life. Okay. And so this is going to sound like snobby. It's not snobby or arrogant, but I didn't care about that. Like I was signed up for this Life Between Life training and I was going to it. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm going. I don't want to go to guides. I don't want to go to that. That's a lower plane. Okay. I want to go to the source. I want to go to the complete experience of God. I don't want to go to like God's messengers. like that was how I was thinking. This was my own kind of duality, but I was like, I'm not going to guides. I'm going to God. Like, like that was kind of my inner kind of thing. So I kept saying, I don't know why I'm going to this. You know, why am I going? I kind of like, I'm not into it, but something is making me go. Well, the night before the training, I had a dream that I was in the ocean looking for the person who has this disease that I was diagnosed with. And she wasn't there. There was just her clothing. Like you could just like she was gone and there was just like this like remembrance of her by her clothing, but the body and the disease was not there. And I woke up going, "Oh my gosh. I think something's going to happen." Like that's important. I gotta go to somebody to help me interpret my dream. So I kind of like wrote it down and then I go to this hypnosis training. And when we get there, the woman who is leading it says, I realize that you're here for this life between life training, but we're gonna do a dream interpretation just out of the blue. And she goes, did anybody have a dream last night? And I'm like, me. So I tell her my dream and she's like, that's a healing, Caprina. That's a healing. There's some kind of healing either happening or coming. And I was like, yeah, it's something, like it felt really important. Um, well, then we go into the training. Okay. And part of the training is you practice the technique to regress. You get a partner, you go in a room by yourselves, and you regress the person to the life between the lives. Okay. And it's very easy to do. Hypnosis, for those of you who don't know, is just a state of very relaxed, focused awareness. It's like a deep meditation. Nobody can make you like quack like a duck or, walk like a chicken. That's just stage performances. But for therapeutic hypnosis, it's literally just very relaxed, focused awareness. And so my partner was taking me, into this process that we were trained in. And so I'm extremely relaxed and I'm deep and focused. And she says to me, go to where you were before you were born. And I heard myself, like inside of me, say, I come from the divine. And as I like knew that truth, it was like that was a truth statement from deep inside of me. This experience started. And what happened was I did not leave my body. I did not go anywhere. I experienced the sun rise in my body. This is very difficult to explain. It's not a real sun, but it's a vibrating, conscious, brilliant light that is perfect love, perfection, and whole. Start at the very tip of my toes and just vibrate up through my body. And as it did that, it went through my belly, all of my chakras, and it paused at my heart. And that was where I was carrying wounds of betrayal, wounds of heartache, wounds of feeling separate from love, missing love. And the light filled my heart, lingered there, and I just wept and wept and wept. And this was a complete inner experience at this point. And it was as if every thought of my own abandonment, loneliness, betrayal, any hurt, anything, it was like everything was put back together. And I was completely whole, completely loved, completely embraced, and known as love itself, as part of the divine itself. And at this point, my partner, who's brand new at this, and the first person she's ever regressed, she says, "Are you talking to your guides?" Because you're supposed to like go to your guides. That was the idea. And this was way beyond guides. So I opened my eyes, and as I did, I saw that the entire room was this light. So I looked at her and I said, "I'll tell you when I'm ready." So I could completely relate to her, and then and I'm still in this expanded state of consciousness, of kind of communing with this holy light. And it was, well, I could see everything is coming out of that light. Everything is filled with this light. And it's 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 the substratum of all. There's nowhere it is not. It's fully, this world is that. That's the world is the illusion, and this world is that divine. And all of us are. And yet I could still relate perfectly humanly with uh the woman that was my partner. And then I closed my eyes because I wasn't ready yet. And I kind of was like just quiet. My mind was completely quiet. And then the light continued. And it went higher up through the rest of me. And I started to enter into ecstasy. Okay. I started to enter into a like ecstatic, um, the only word I can say is ecstasy. Okay. My whole being was trembling with ecstasy. And in my inner vision, I watched this light rise above what I call, or what I heard was the causal ocean, or the causal waters. And you might have heard of that. It's really well known in India, in the like Vedic texts and Upanishads. But I hadn't really, that wasn't my language. It wasn't my thing. But I knew these are the causal waters. And I could see, it was as if I started becoming that light. I could see, just like how you would see the sun rise over the ocean, this brilliant white light, and the dancing light of the sun dancing on the waves of the waters. I saw it, but it was a 10,000 times more beautiful. It was 10,000 times, 10 million times more alive and perfect and brilliant and self-luminous. Okay. And the light was dancing as the waters. I don't know how else to explain that. It wasn't on the water, it was the water. And I knew the entire manifest worlds, all the planes exist as this ocean. And my consciousness was lifting out of that. And at the same time, I could open my eyes and be in the room that I was doing the hypnosis session in and see it here. And then I went back and was just in this state of being this light that has lifted above the causal waters, above all manifestation. And I was suddenly in the awareness that there is no other. So it wasn't thinking, oh, we are all one. There was no we. I think you know what I'm talking. There's no we. There's no one or two. It was a full body, complete ecstatic experience of being whole. There is no other. I am. But the words I am weren't even there. It was just completeness and an absolute per- perfect existence. And I knew, like, my personality was also online. It said, this is it. Like, it was like, there is nothing beyond this. There can't be. And because this satisfied me, I had, it was the knowing that this knowing kind of permeated me. This is what everyone is looking for. In every pursuit, in every cup of coffee that you crave, in every sexual union, in every degree that an achievement that we're seeking, no matter what we're pursuing, and we're all pursuing something, okay, that within that pursuit is God. The experience that satisfies in that thing is not the thing. It's God. It's the divine that has become that experience for you. And that is yourself with a capital S. And nothing will ever satisfy, ever, if we only limit it to a thing that's separate from the divine. And we can most naturally, it is our natural state to commune with this holy being that has become this entire manifest world on whatever plane we're on, okay, to enjoy itself and to be itself, to reveal itself to itself. And there is nothing missing ever in any part of this creation, because there's no part. It is whole. And that is the truth. And you are that truth. I am that truth. And life will betray you. Life will dissatisfy or disappoint you when you limit it to a physical material experience. It's our shifting of our own mind, of our own perception, that this is God-given, that the divine is the only one living here, and that even the worst thing can become the best thing. And that diagnosis that I had gave me this experience. It took me from deep depression and despair and deep sadness and fear to a pursuit of the divine as the healer, because I knew that's what all the alternative books were saying back in the late 90s. God is the healer within you. You can find it. Here's techniques. Do these techniques. What I found is techniques are helpful, yes, but that it is our longing. If we follow our longing to return home, you will get there. It's not something that the ego can ever do. It's a surrender to that. And I was at this thing that I wasn't into, but something was making me go, okay, to the hypnosis training that I wasn't really into. But that was the most complete, profound experience of my life. And that I'm healthy. Nothing ever manifested in my system. That disease never came. I went to a specialist afterwards. I didn't tell him about the life experience, but I said, you know what? I was diagnosed with blah, blah, blah. I want a second opinion. And he said, you know what, Caprina, I don't know if you have it or not. I'm going to give you an education about it so that you know what it is. But my honest recommendation is go live your life. Just live your life. I don't think you have to take the meds. I think you should just wait and see what happens. And I thought, from God's mouth to my ears after that experience. And I said, you want to do that? And I have had no problems since that light experience. And I knew this is the healer within us. So that's my experience. And that's kind of my thing that I wanted to share since about 2020. Like when COVID happened, everybody was kind of like, now is the time to add my voice to many, many people who have had experiences like these. And I don't know about you, Laurie, you interview people all the time, but I love hearing it. I never get bored. Every story I hear, I never get bored because it's a transmission. When you're with somebody who's had an experience like this, you feel it. Like I can feel the energy between you and I am hot. I am like starting to do that vibration again. That light is active in me. It's exciting and it's beautiful and it's our most natural state. And we're here to just transmit it and share it. Um, and as a healer, I did healer training to learn how to access that and help others access that. It's a mystery. You can't completely control that, but you can get there. It's who you are. And that is what heals at the root cause. It's the healing of separation from God or from
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you shared that. So, Caprina, have you actually publicly shared this experience before?
you're the first. I teach. So I'm the dean of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing's first year of training in Minnesota. They have several locations and there's several first year of training deans. I lead it here in Minnesota. So I'm used to speaking about the essence of who we are. I'm used to helping guide people like kind of into a state like that, but I have not gone on a podcast worldwide. Or
It's a
someone
little
like you.
intimidating, isn't it? Because to be so vulnerable, I resonated with everything you said. You might as well have been me explaining my experience on the other side of becoming all that is. And then again, making it about everybody watching because it's not you, it's not me. We're not special. There is no good, better, best. We are all the same. We are all that. We all have that. We come from that. We are that.
And it never leaves you. There's nothing missing ever. It's like you're individuated, but you're never separate, but you're also all it's a non-dual experience that English doesn't have the language.
No,
That's
it's
exactly
so hard
right.
to explain it.
And all you want to do is share it. Like to me, like I'm so grateful that I got connected to you because I feel completely comfortable. I'm just shy. I have no problem once I get talking, as you can tell. I'm happy to do it. But you know, I believe in really, well, not believe. My practice is to keep the sacredness of a sacred experience. Our ego can take anything, no matter how beautiful and how sacred it is, and make you special or separate because of it. And so it's natural in me to just kind of quietly go about my life. It's more like quiet and humble. But I'm also wanting to share this and add my voice just because it's time. That impulse is coming from inside, from the oneness, from the divine. And it's so fun to sit here with you and look in your eyes and see that light. Yeah.
I'm so grateful that we have experiences like this that we get to share with people. When I was earlier on my journey, I shared mine in like 2019 before COVID hit. But what's been kind of hard,
Oh, somebody else wants to
I
go.
know. What's been kind of challenging, I guess, is that the more you have these experiences, kind of the more sacred they become and the less words you have to be able to describe them. And I find myself saying things that almost sound ridiculous. So, like to say, I became this vibration that's like a billion suns. And I don't mean in the light frequency, I mean in the power and the vibration. But it sounds ridiculous to somebody to say that because nobody can conceive of what a billion is in our mind. Yet in that place, I could understand what that meant. And I was understating what I experienced. And so there are certain people that you share it with, and there are a lot of others that you can't because they wouldn't even begin to have a frame of reference. At least on this channel, the people who are tuning in are people who have a frame of reference. They've listened to a near-death experience. They've listened to people channel and connect with the divine or have these experiences and even have evidential information come up about maybe they saw something, they heard somebody when they were out of their body and were able to get confirmation. You are really, really
I love dogs. My dog was with me through this whole journey. I love her.
My puppy is a little bit rambunctious right now. So she is going to have a little treat. Oh, look at that. And then she is going to go and lay down while we finish our conversation. Otherwise, this will not happen. I love it. Crazy, this dog. So I'm really grateful that you are sharing what you're sharing and how you're sharing it. And I can feel your authenticity. I also had this thing where the hair inside my ear stands up when I hear a truth. And when you very first started and you talked about the unity connection, instantly that happened. And so I know what you're speaking is truth. And so you had this experience where you didn't, I guess you were starting to present with different symptoms of this disorder, this disease, is it autoimmune disorder? And then you had this experience and you realized the power that you are, and now you don't manifest with that anymore. And you have become an energy healer for others. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about what it means to be an energy healer. I think there are a lot of people that really don't even understand that concept.
So there's lots of different types of energy healing trainings and techniques. I'm sure many people have heard of Reiki. Reiki is one form of energy healing. Healing touch is another form of energy healing. I am trained in um, I'm trained in a couple of modalities, but the one that I mainly practice is called Brennan Healing Science. And it was developed by Dr. Barbara Brennan, who I think was the uh, most gifted healer of her time in the Western Hemisphere. Okay, so in the 1900s. Okay, she wrote 3 books: Hands of Light, Light Emerging, and Core Star Healing, where she outlines kind of the work. And it's really I was led to her book. And even before I go any further, Laurie, while it's still in my head, my main message as we continue to talk is that you don't have to go outside of yourself to experience God. You don't have to die and leave your body. God is here in every cell of your body. And that's what that sun rising in my body was. It was like every part of me, the light within me emerging from every part of me, and it literally healed everything. Okay.
May I add a confirmation to that? Because I feel like when I get a confirmation and you get a confirmation, like we confirm each other. The same exact thing happened to me in the last experience on the other side as I was coming out of it, and I wasn't the source. I was coming back online and I was remembering the human incarnation and kind of falling out of that place. I don't even know how to describe it. That
get
was
it.
the main message I got as well. You do not need to go to anybody else. Nobody else has the answers. All of the answers for all of us exist within. We just don't trust them. And then we get bogged down in the humanness and we think, oh, I need XYZ. And we seek it outside of ourselves over and over again. And I will say for people watching, this is not an easy thing to integrate. These are very difficult concepts to integrate because we are still human and we do still have to deal with this human experience. And so I might feel super confident about that for a month or 2 months or maybe 6 months, but then something happens. I'm like, I need to go talk to XYZ or whatever it is. And you feel like you've got to go search for something outside of yourself. So I'd love for you to speak to that a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, gosh, I had 10 things I was going to say. So let me just start and we'll see what comes out. The first thing is our humanness is also divine. So we only say that we get bogged down by our humanness. I know what you mean by that. But I want to explicitly say that every part of us, everything, there's nothing that is not God, including our ego, including our mistakes, including our lower self shittiness.
I love that.
It's true. Okay. There's a purpose for that, and the divine is that too. The minute you separate anything from the divine is where we get into forgetting and separation. So I do want to say that, like, there in truth, there is no out of the body and in the body in a way. I mean, our body is a vehicle and we're very much entrenched in our physical world. And I truly, as a healer, what the work really is to spiritualize matter. And you're not bringing it here, it is here. You're communing with and recognizing it and learning how to work with this world, because this world is a mirror of our own consciousness. You only see yourself, it mirrors you. And that was another thing that you were stimulating in me when you were talking, is that, like you said, you don't tell this to a lot of people, and a lot of people don't get this. That's part of what I think you and I and other people who are sharing are the divine is using us for, is to be a mirror for people. Like, oh, other people have had those experiences. Oh, Laurie's talking about it. Caprina's talking about it. We are mirrors for other people who've had them and they don't have anybody to talk to. When you have a mirror and someone else can say, yeah, that's real, I had that, or you see yourself in them, that is what the material world is here for. Okay. It's a divine mirror. If that makes any sense. Does that make sense to you?
It does. And one of the other things I
Okay.
want to say about what you just said is you made up a phrase I've never heard before, and I love it so much. We're here to spiritualize matter. Oh my gosh, does that resonate like 1,000,000%?
That's right. So as a healer, I mean, that's what happened to me in that experience. My body became God. It already was God, but I entered into that awareness, and it literally just takes focused intent. It's nearer than breath, it's nearer than heartbeat, it's who we are. So as an energy healer, so like that experience was of consciousness and energy. I'm losing my voice a little bit, I'm sorry. So the material forms, my body, the computer, trees, matter is consciousness and energy. And when I say and, that's because in English we don't have a word called consciousness energy. It's one thing. Consciousness energy is like heads and tails of a quarter. It's a quarter. It's that's existence. And everything is energy, and the energy is conscious. Okay? And that, even our bodies are energy consciousness. And so when I work with you, I use my hands as well as my own energy consciousness system that I call Caprina, that has many subtle levels of energy, not just my physical body, which is also energy. We have a whole energy system and anatomy, several levels of our energy field. We have chakras on each level of our field. We have deeper dimensions of intentionality and purpose. And we have the deepest dimension is that core light dimension of the God within each of us. And many people, I know Barbara Brennan, my healing teacher, talks about like the core star. Each of us have a light within us that's completely one with the divine, that is no other, but is also completely unique and individual. Everybody's core light is God and perfect and whole and never separate, and also completely individual and unique in its expression. And it's both. Okay. And the healing process involves bringing awareness to how we are basically being who we are not. So I'm going to say that again. How am I being who I am not? Because you and I are talking about who we are. We are Satchidananda, this consciousness, bliss existence. Okay. There is no other, and it's everywhere and everything. And that is the only thing that heals and satisfies. And that's our nature. Okay. And that has become my body, my personality, all my distortions. Okay. Everything that's here, it's all God. We don't separate anything from it, but we just get curious. How is this acting like it's small and separate and creating from this small piece of separation? So, like at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, it's a 4-year training, and you can do 3 more years if you really want to do advanced work, where you are not just learning how to do hands-on energy healing, you're learning how to facilitate each person's personal process in their journey towards their own wholeness again. And it's going through the wounding that is inevitable in all of us when we take birth. We are wounded. We have wounds happen to us. Just being born is a wound. Okay. And we have other wounds, abandonment, uh, control and invasion, betrayal and rejection, as well as hostility, which is the first one. And those form our limiting concepts of who we are. And we transfer those concepts onto the outside world and we experience them. So we kind of create our own reality from our wounds. And the journey home is to go, oh, that's not outside of me. That's reflecting the limiting beliefs and the separation, the belief in separation that's in me. So let me turn and take all the blame and all the pain off of the outside and start exploring my own consciousness. Where are my limits? Where's my pain that's in my body? I told you my pain was in my heart. Even though it was an autoimmune disease, it was all about love. It was all pain around love. And going into that pain, going into our pain is like going into what we have resisted in our incarnational process as something too much to feel, as something overwhelming, as something that's going to hurt and we're never going to get out of, when actually it's there to transform you. It's there to transform you and take you home to the divine, because inside of that pain is that light. And only through feeling it can you release and reconnect to that part of divinity that inaccessible until we feel it. So in energy healing training, and then in the work that I do as an energy healer with people, is I'm helping them move through the blocked pain in their system on many levels and access that light. And that's the healer. That's what's required. And that will heal. I don't have to know to tell it what to do. I don't have to tell that light what to do at all. But we go through personal process as well as hands-on work to go into the pain, into the limiting, wounded consciousness with compassion, no judgment, in a very organic way as it arises in the person. Okay. And that light gets released as we complete the experience. So another way that I like to say it is, where have we said no to life? Okay, because everything in life is for us. I know you guys have probably heard that before, but everything in life is for us. And if we let it impact us and fully experience it, it will transform us and keep turning us back to who we really are. Okay. For example, there's a lot of grief right now. Okay. Grief around changes that are happening in our environment, politics, you name it. A lot of deaths during COVID, a lot of loss, and people don't want to feel grief. We don't in the West, we don't have a lot of rituals, around on how to be with grief other than a funeral or a memorial or a celebration of life, and then you're just kind of on your own, you know. And in my work, the last 2.5 years, all I've been getting is grief. People whose children have died, people whose wife or spouse have died, people who have lost the love of their life, um, jobs, houses, their whole life blew up. And to me, that's the work, is that we want to say yes. to letting it impact us. We don't want to stop the feeling. We don't want to stop the experience. It's all divine. And it will take us into and carve out a place in us that we did not have access to until. Does that
I'm
make
just
sense?
glad that you explained that in so much detail so people could understand the process
Yeah.
of how this works. And I would imagine that there are people who are watching who would love to connect with you. So the first question I want to ask before you share that is this something that you have to do in person, or is this something that you do with people remotely?
I do it remotely and in person. So I work over Zoom or over WhatsApp, video calls, or over the phone. And I also work in person. I'm located in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
But you absolutely do not have to be in person. I work with people all over the world.
I figured as much. Well, tell people where they can find you and how they can work with you.
Sure. So the best way to find me is to go to my website. It's CaprinaBrown.com. Do you want me to spell Caprina Brown?
It's okay. I'll put it down in the show notes for everybody.
Okay. Yeah. So CaprinaBrown.com is my website, where you would get my contact information and you can learn a little bit about the work. It explains a little bit there. And then you would just email me. So my email is Caprina@CaprinaBrown.com, or you can use Gmail, CaprinaBrown21@gmail.com. And 21 is the number 21. And you would just reach out to me. And we could schedule a time over email, or we can schedule a time to have a conversation at no charge for about 15 minutes. Oftentimes, people want to talk to me to see if it feels like the right connection, to tell me a little bit about what's going on with them, and how I would work with them or how I would approach it before they schedule. And that's absolutely fine. So I offer a 15-minute kind of conversation, not a session, but a conversation. If you want to have that first at no charge, and then we schedule. And I don't do online scheduling. I do it through email. I really like to feel the person. I like to have a connection with the person. And I know that's a little bit old school, but that's how I work.
It makes sense. You're
Yeah.
working with energy, so of course
Yeah.
you need to read somebody's energy.
That's right.
It's not
Um,
surprising at all.
okay. Yeah, so email me, and or like I said, through my website, you can find my emails. And that's the best way to connect.
Well, I am so glad that I sat down next to you at the conference this summer so that we could have this beautiful collective consciousness conversation. And I just want to thank you for your vulnerability, for wanting to come on and share this very deep and personal experience with everybody. And thank you so much for your part in what you are doing to help wake up the collective. We all know it is so needed right now.
I feel the same about you, Laurie. Thank you so much for interviewing me and for the work you're doing.
Thank you. And of course, this show is absolutely nothing without all of you who take the time to tune in and watch and share these experiences with others. So thank you for what you're doing to help wake up the collective. And thank you for watching. Do you believe that love never dies and you want to hear stories that prove it? Well, hit the subscribe button. You belong here.